Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Amber. Today we're talking about the new Kindle Colorsoft and the Kobo Libra color and which one would be the better option for you. Now, starting off, I did purchase both of these with my own money. So these are all going to be my own opinions. I did previously purchase the Kobo Libra color a while back when it first came out, and I kept it for... I'm a super indecisive person. Let's just start off with that. And I do really love to annotate my books, as long as I really like them. And so I thought that this would be the perfect e-reader, but the biggest downfall for me was that since like 2014, honestly back before then, 2012, somewhere around there, I've read off Kindle. So all of my books had been on there. Recently, I had really started reading Kindle Unlimited books, and so that was kind of like a deal breaker for me, so I did end up sending this back. But then I repurchased it again because then I did the math and realized that I really didn't read that much Kindle Unlimited books to where I was reading up to the $12 price point. So I was like, well, it doesn't matter. And then I went back to Kindle again. So I did recently get my hands on another Kobo so that I could do this comparison. I guess we'll start off with talking about price point and what you get for that price. So for the Kindle Colorsoft, it is $279.99 US dollars. And with that, you are getting just a colored Kindle Paperwhite Signature Edition. That's it. So the Kindle Signature Edition, let me look up exact numbers so that I am correct on all this. So if you got the new Kindle Paperwhite Signature Edition, that is $199.99 US. This is $279.99. So you're paying $80 more for just the colored screen. That's it. That's the only difference. You get 32 gigabytes of storage on this, wireless charging capabilities, and Bluetooth capabilities. So you can pair your headphones to listen to your audiobooks. That's it. This only comes in black, where the Signature Edition comes in the jade, the metallic jade, the metallic raspberry, or metallic black. They're both 7-inch screens. This is the Kaleido 3, just like all the other colored e-readers that are out. But the big difference here is that Kindle came up with, I don't know like the full technicalities of it, so I'm not going to go in depth because I really don't fully know what I'm talking about. I just know the bare minimum. They came up with different layers for the screen that makes this more paper-like, so you're not getting that screen door effect as much as the other e-readers on the market, which the only other e-reader I've used, colored e-reader I've used, is this, so I can't speak on like the books Go Color 7 or any of the pocket books or anything like that. But yeah, so that's what you're getting with that. And and then all that comes in the box is like the little manual and the USB to USB-C charging cable. And then for the Kobo, it is $219.99 US for this, and you get the 7-inch screen just like the Kindle, but this one is more similar to the Oasis. It's shorter but wider than the Kindle Paperwhite. But with this, you are getting the buttons like the Oasis, which I do really like. And then the power buttons on the back of this, and then just the charging port on the side. This one's also USB-C charging, but there is no wireless charging on this. It's also 32 gigabytes of storage. You also get Bluetooth capabilities to be able to listen to your audiobooks directly off of this. And it's also the Kaleido 3 screen. They are both waterproof also. The Kobo does come in white or black. There is a stylus that you can use with this, so you can draw. The biggest thing that I really liked about this is you can draw directly on the pages while you're reading. None of Kindles do that at all as of right now. I know that with the new Scribe that they're coming out with, they have like a thing where you can write and it blocks out where you're writing. This one, you can write anywhere on the screen. Like you can scribble out words if you want to, circle, underline, heart things, which I really like. I wish Amazon would get on the bandwagon with that because that is super nice. But The downfall to that is their stylus is an additional $74.99. So at that point, you are at $290 before taxes. Basically, you're at the same price point if you get this and the stylus to be able to do that, and this. This is, I guess I'll just use this because I don't have the stylus. I didn't get the stylus again to do this. There are cheaper alternatives. The Kobo's actual Kobo Stylus 2 is $74.99, but I know that there are a ton of alternatives, and it's not too hard to look up on either like Reddit or TikTok or Instagram or anything to find those alternatives. I know the cheapest alternative that I'm aware of that actually works is $20, but I know that there's another alternative that's like the Meta Pen 2 that's super nice, that I don't remember exactly how much that one is. I think that one's around the $50 price point. So I mean, you could get another pretty nice pen for like $20 cheaper. There's plenty of alternatives that you could do if you don't want to spend $75 on a pen. But this is basically what I was talking about with this. Like, you can just draw literally wherever you want on the page, which is really nice. Let's, I guess, get into talking about the books that you can get on each. So with Kindle, you can get something called Kindle Unlimited, and there are audiobooks. There's becoming more audiobooks on there with Kindle Unlimited, and there are over 4 million digital books, and then it just says thousands of audiobooks, thousands of comics, thousands of magazines. You can borrow up to 20 books, audiobooks, all of that at a time, like simultaneously with no due dates. So that is super nice. I just have to say that Kindle Unlimited is unmatched in that aspect. With Kobo, they have something similar. It's called Kobo Plus. Theirs is $9.99 a month if you want both ebooks and audiobooks, or if you know you're only going to be using ebooks or only going to be using audiobooks. They have an option where you could pick just ebooks for $7.99 a month or just audiobooks for $7.99 a month, which I think is nice that you could kind of save a couple dollars if you know you're not going to be using one of those options. Theirs says that for ebooks, they have over 1.5 million to choose from, with over 150,000 audiobooks. So their options are dramatically less than Kindle's. I read a lot of indie authors. So for me, a lot of the authors that I really enjoy are on Kindle, which kind of sucks because I'm lazy. And there are ways around that where you can get all of your Kindle books after you purchase them onto your Kobo. Because you're buying the licensing whenever you buy an ebook on Amazon. You can download those, and there is a program called, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's either Calibre or Caliber or however you say it. There is a program where you can download and put all those books on there, and it does allow you to convert them from the MOBI or AZW3 formatting that it is for Kindle into like PDF, EPUB, KEPUB, and put it onto your Kobo. So you can get all of your Amazon books and transfer them to here, but you cannot do that with Kindle Unlimited books because you're not purchasing those books, like that book license. You're just borrowing like the library, so you can't do that. But a lot of the Kindle Unlimited books are only like $2.99 to $3.99, I'm noticing. So if there is one and it's only sold on Amazon, you could buy it, download it, convert it, and put it onto here. It really wouldn't be that big of a deal, but I'm lazy at the end of the day. But yeah, so if you don't read a lot of Kindle Unlimited books, this is a great alternative. If you're trying altogether to get out of like Amazon's ecosystem, I would highly recommend Kobo because I do really like it. I'm just lazy, and I'm not afraid to admit that I really don't like change. So for me, I have this annoying nagging of like, I really like a lot of the features on this, but I'm so stubborn and stuck in my ways, and I don't want to do the extra steps. Which you're going to notice that I'm going to kind of contradict myself later. And I know that I'm contradicting myself. Anyway, and I guess we'll just get into the contradiction right now. One of the biggest features that I love about this Kobo is it has Overdrive built into this. If you turn this on and you go into Discover, you'll see right up here it says Overdrive, and you can connect your library card and you can browse through your local library all the ebooks. If you go into one of them and you can see it right there, it'll say borrow. You can click on that. You can click on the borrow and it'll connect directly to your Overdrive, and it lets you check that item immediately out. And then if you just hit go to books, it'll be, okay, I guess I probably shouldn't, oh. It'll be right in your books now, and then you can just return it right from there. So I'd say that's probably my favorite feature, which I've been utilizing my local library way more. And so I love that I'm able to just do that directly on the device. I don't have to use my phone to scroll through. And I noticed too that on here, there's so many more lists that they've made than like on my Libby app, which I do really, really enjoy this. If you want to do the same thing, it's really not that much of an extra step. On your Kindle, it's easy enough on the Libby app that you can just select the book. And if you go into the settings on your Libby app, there's like the way that you prefer to read your books, and you can choose the Libby app or select Kindle. If you select Kindle, it'll just send it every time that you select one. But that's like my biggest thing that I like. But that's where I'm contradicting myself, because I said I don't want to do the extra steps to just buy a book once in a while if I'm going to read it and put it onto my Kobo, but I'm willing to do the extra step to get the library book. So another thing I really like is if you're in the store and you're looking at ebooks, and let's say I want to select let's say I want to do, let me pick one that I know is available. So let's say I want to do Heartless Hunter. If I go in here and I hit these three little dots right here, it'll actually tell me if my local library has it. So I could just hit borrow with Overdrive and it'd do the same thing as if I was in there. So I do like that, where like with Kindle, you don't have that. So there may be a book you want to read and you go to buy it, and you're never going to know if your local library just had that, and you could have just saved $10 buying a book. So I do kind of wish that Kindle was able to integrate that feature, because I think that it makes the Kobo that much better. So again, if you really use your local library a lot, so I guess I've talked about most of the features on that. So let's do like an overhead view of these two and compare them side by side. So this is with both of them with their screen off. This is both the devices at 0% brightness with 0 warm light. Both at max brightness with 0 warm light. And this is max brightness with max warm light. And this is about 50% on each. So you can definitely see that the Kobo with the lights themselves does get brighter quicker than with the Kindle. I do find that with the Kindle, I feel like I have to up the brightness level on it more so than I do with the Kobo. But with the Kobo and its brightness level, it's almost more of a harsh light. So like reading at night, in my opinion, is more annoying with the Kobo than it is on the Kindle. The Kindle just feels more like paper, and so it doesn't quite feel so harsh. I noticed that with, let's go ahead and go into the same book. So you can see, while it's at 50% brightness, this is what it would look like in the book. Go back down to 0 on each. So they're pretty similar during the day. Like to get around the same coloring, I feel like you definitely have to put the Kindle higher. But with that also being said, I noticed that with the Kobo, it stays more of a yellow color. On the camera, it's really not catching it that good, but in person, the Kobo just always has a tinge of a yellow to its screen, and I don't like that, because during the day I do like to keep the warmth levels at 0. I like it to have more of that like white crisp look to it while I'm reading. And I guess while we're at it, we'll talk about you can see here, my Kindle does in fact have that yellow bar at the bottom that everybody's talking about. I honestly, like, while I'm reading during the day in the light, I really don't notice that yellow bar at all, but if you're paying $280 for a device, the screen should probably be next to perfect, because that is extremely expensive for what you're getting with the Kindle. So it still bothers me in that aspect. I've heard varying different reasonings behind that. I've heard some people say that it's a software issue and that Amazon is going to release a new update that's going to fix that. But more recently, I'm starting to hear more and more that they realized that it's actually a hardware issue, and that's why they've stopped shipping. Which I did check Kindle's site this morning, and it does say you can still purchase the Kindle Colorsoft, but it now says expected to ship in the next 6 to 8 weeks. So they've delayed shipping and they're not sending them out right now. And I've also heard that before you could message Amazon and get like a free replacement. But I heard this morning that they're not doing replacements anymore if you message them. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that. I am hoping that it is more on the software side of things and that can just be fixed with an update. I feel like Amazon needs to talk about that, because right now it's all just based on like what people have heard. I want to hear from Amazon themselves on why it's like that and what is going to be fixed about it. But anyway, I think that the screen themselves are pretty comparable on how quick they are. I don't really notice a difference when I've been testing these on like which one's faster. They both have very responsive tappings. I know some people with the Kobo have talked about it where they find lag with it. I haven't experienced that. I'm not quite sure if that is the case or not. But let's look at the highlighting. So with Kindle, you get yellow, pink, blue, and orange as your options. With Kobo, you get yellow, pink, blue, or green for your options with highlighting. I definitely think that Kindle has a better contrast than Kobo does. So it just looks more crisp and clean and clear. And I guess keeping on that, we'll go ahead. Okay, so I think now I don't know how well you can see like that screen door effect, but on this one, to me at least, it's a lot more noticeable. I notice the screen door effect a lot more on the Kobo than I do with the Kindle. The Kobo just has more of like a tablet feel. It's harsher with the lighting. The wording is just more, I don't know how to describe it. This has such a softer look to it. So for these, I guess my final takeaway is I don't think one is necessarily better than the other. I think that they both do the job of getting to read books anywhere you go. I think if you're trying to decide between these two, if you read a lot of indie authors or Kindle Unlimited books, this is gonna be the way to go. If you read a lot of library books, or you don't mind taking those couple extra steps, they still have a ton of books on here that they do on Kindle. Like if you go into their Discover tab, like this one is their top new ebooks. They used to have a section on here that was like book talk favorites. So I mean, they have a lot of like popular books. It's a hard decision. I'm still in the middle of like, which one do I want to keep and which one do I want to return? Because I do think that $280 for the Kindle Colorsoft is kind of up there. I mean, granted, I do think that the screen on this looks better than on this one. You can see this one's got a little bit, maybe a screen protector would help that, but it's definitely more shiny. The screen itself, when you're looking at it, it was hard for me to capture on the camera, but I noticed it especially in the sunlight. you can see like the grid on the screen, especially with like a black cover like this. And just in general, when I was reading them side by side, I'd read a couple pages on here and then I'd switch to this and read a couple pages. And I noticed this one, I felt like I got a lot more eye strain than I did with this one. The text and just the screen itself, with the way that the lighting on this one is, it's just harsher, and it reminds me so much more of my iPad reading on it than this one does. This one still holds true to that Kindle Paperwhite look, which I do really like. You do have a tiny bit of the screen door effect, but if you're not having them side by side, like I don't even have my old Kindle Paperwhite, I traded in for this. Without having them side by side, I don't even notice the like grainy effect that people talk about. So if you're not comparing them side by side, you're gonna get used to it. You're not even gonna really notice it. And honestly, I feel like maybe with this one, if I didn't have this directly next to it comparing the screens, I probably wouldn't have even noticed how much this one does look more like my iPad if I wasn't looking for that aspect of it. So this is still a really good e-reader. If you're trying to get out of Amazon or you read a lot more library books, I'm gonna say this is probably the route to go. If you just love Kindle and most of your books are on that, or you read a lot of Kindle Unlimited, I'm gonna say go with this one. If you don't read a lot of like comic books or manga or anything like that, and you don't really care about the colored annotations, I would save the $80 and just go with the new Kindle Paperwhite Signature Edition. The color really doesn't, like the amount of times that I'm on my homepage scrolling through, or my library scrolling through my books to look at the covers, is like 5% of the time that I'm actually using this device. So do they really matter? No, not at all. I like looking at them, so I'm still gonna keep this. Oh, in terms of battery life, these are pretty similar. I just charged mine, so I charged mine the day I got it, after like setting it up, because it did come 50% charged. I charged it that day because obviously the updates, downloading everything does take a huge chunk of the battery life. But then I read on it for like 5 or 6 days. I think it was 6 days, because I got it on Friday, charged it, read on it that night, read on it Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Today's Friday. So today would have been the week. So 6 days I read on that, and it went down to 30%. I was down to 30%. And I was reading a lot on this, especially when I got this 2 days ago. I was hardcore comparing these. So like this thing would be on when I was reading on this one, just to compare them. So I had this running a lot. So honestly, the battery life was pretty nice, and I don't mind. I am going from the Kindle Paperwhite 10th generation, which that battery is terrible. So I don't mind charging this once a week if that's what I have to do. I read for hours on these every single day. They say up to 8 weeks if you're reading 30 minutes a day with it at either an 8 or a 9 brightness, which would be like here, which during the day isn't that bad. I read way more than that on these things. This one is very comparable. Okay, well, Kobo doesn't even give you a time. They literally just say long battery life. I think they're pretty comparable. Like, I got this, and it was at, like, 45% charged or 50% charged. And, again, I had to update it, download all my books. I was transferring my Kobo or my Kindle books over to this. I've been searching nonstop in the Discover tab, like, just looking at book covers, comparing the lighting and the coloring on the book covers on this compared to Kindles, and the battery went down to also like 28%, but I didn't charge it out of the box, so it went from 50 to like 28 after doing all that. And I charged it up to like 54% yesterday, and I'm at 51%. And I remember with my other one, it was pretty much the same. I had my other Kobo after I first bought it for I think a month and a half, and it was pretty much the same thing. That was my dedicated e-reader because I had sold my Paperwhite to buy the Kobo initially. So that was all I was reading on, and it was pretty much the same thing. I was charging this about once every like 7 to 9 days, and I have a feeling this is going to be about the same. So I think the battery life on these is pretty comparable. Again, if you want something that lasts weeks on end, go with the Kindle Paperwhite, because just having the black and white is going to significantly boost your battery life. I don't know the technicalities on like Kaleido 3 on why the color technology drains the batteries faster, but it does, so that's to be expected with any colored e-ink display. They're gonna have significantly worse battery lives. At the end of the day, think that it depends on what you're going to be reading, how you're going to be reading, and like what things you enjoy. If you are a huge annotator, you love drawing on the screen, you love marking things, this is the way to go. If you want just good old normal Amazon Kindle, this is the way to go. If you want to see like just strictly a in-depth review of the Kobo back when I had it, I'll put the picture of it here and I'll link it in the description so you can go back. I do have the stylus in that one, so I show like drawing on the screen, highlighting with that, and I just go through everything with this. But that's all I have for comparing these two. I hope that this helped somebody make their decision on whether they want the Kobo Libra color or the Kindle, or neither of these, and they just want to stick to something black and white. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with all my future videos, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!